Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, a bucket load of news. But before all that, there was the small matter of the Super Bowl happening in the United States, where the Kentucky Mofos defeated the Kansas Chicken Wings. A phenomenal performance. Praise the chicken wing. But let's go straight to the news because the new president creates news articles like a super tornado creates homeless people. First, some funny news. President Donald J. Trump has signed an executive order to cut financial assistance to South Africa, accusing the country's government of unjust racial discrimination against white Afrikaners and offering them asylum in the US. The poor white South Africans who make up 7% of the population and yet only own three-quarters of the land. A disgrace. Very interesting to see who the Trump administration considers a valid refugee. But now to the tariffs.
I'll be announcing probably Tuesday or Wednesday at a news conference reciprocal tariffs, and very simply, it's if they charge us, we charge them. That's all.
When does it go into effect, sir?
Almost immediately. But I'll be announcing the details of it, highly detailed, and it'll be great for everybody, including the other countries. But if they are charging us 130% and we're charging them nothing, it's not going to stay that way.
This is on every country?
Every country will be reciprocal, that's right. We'll have a news conference Tuesday or Wednesday.
And just on the steel question, just so I understand
We'll also be
correctly,
announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
on this tomorrow,
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
what countries will those go on?
Everybody, steel.
Including Canada, Mexico,
Yeah,
United States?
any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%? Let's see
10,
what's
no, 25%.
25 for aluminum.
25 for both.
For both.
We've been having a bit of a dance about the tariffs. Yesterday, Trump announced new 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum on all countries after delaying the tariffs on Mexico and Canada. And he also promised reciprocal tariffs on all countries, which we'll have to wait and see in action, folks, because yeah, the world is complicated and different countries protect different industries. So different countries may have different tariffs on different products. I know, shucks. Now, the steel and aluminum tariffs are certainly not what he was threatening throughout his campaign, I would say. He had already implemented them during his last term, but granted duty-free quotas to Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, who are the biggest exporters of steel and aluminum to the US. He hasn't offered any to them yet, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that the steel and aluminum tariffs aren't really going to set the world on fire. As I mentioned already at the 11th hour, he pulled back from tariffs or implementing tariffs on Mexico and Canada, but the tariffs against China did go ahead with China's retaliatory tariffs already coming into effect, targeting 14 billion worth of products, mainly energy, farm equipment, and some vehicles. So the tariff wars are haphazardly plowing ahead. And I just want to make one final point about this whole situation because I've heard Trump mention this constantly at this point. Uh, Trump, in his extremely finite wisdom, seems to equate having a trade deficit with another country that is buying more goods and services from that country than you are selling to them, as essentially subsidizing that country. And I'm sorry, no. Just because another country makes better shit than you and sells more shit to you than you sell to them does not mean that you're fucking subsidizing them. Are you an imbecile? Do you understand what subsidies are? What trade is? What words are? Yesterday, folks, I subsidized the most beautiful gentleman to make me the most beautiful burger. It was essentially a subsidy. No giving money to buy stuff is not essentially a subsidy. Are we clear? Great. Now, before we get to Elon, yes, Elon, we haven't forgotten about you. Let's finish up with Trump for now, with the reports he's spoken with President Putin and that he believes that Putin shares his sentiment that too many young, handsome soldiers are dying. I mean, if it was old grannies, fuck it. But young, handsome boys, no way, stop this madness. The problem, though, with stopping this madness, apart from the fact that the United States now seems far more preoccupied with recouping their costs by acquiring Ukraine's rare earths. We want the rarest earth. But even beyond that, Trump's idea seems to be that Europeans need to provide Ukraine with security, with the security guarantees. His great advisor, Mike Waltz, recently stated as much. And I'm like, my dude, the Europeans, they can't even provide security guarantees for themselves. You provide their security guarantees. You know this. Macron can't even get out his fucking palace without getting bitch slapped in the face. And you want him to guarantee the security of Ukraine? The Germans have 3 bazookas and a bicycle for a fucking army. They're gonna guarantee security? I don't know. Let's just say that this plan feels a little bit underbaked. Anyway, as Trump said in an interview with Fox News, they may make a deal, they may not make a deal. They may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday. Riveting analysis, as always. Let's move on to the main subject of the episode. Elon, the slightly autistic techno king, who, along with his team of 19 to 25-year-old boy geniuses, is spearheading the great Shiba Inu operation to strip the government of all its employees, all its costs, all its programs, oh, and also add a bunch of AI into its processes. Because, letting a bunch of unsupervised 19-year-olds write code for the most important government processes, systems, and operations is bound to work out swimmingly, right? So who are these young whippersnappers? Well, we've got a report about one of them, Marco Ellis, who had gained direct write access to Treasury Department payment systems. He resigned last Thursday after the Wall Street Journal uncovered his now deleted social media account that promoted eugenics and racism. And I'm not talking a little bit. We have posts that contain gems like, you could not pay me to marry outside my ethnicity. Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. And normalize Indian hate. I guess that's why Vivek's not here. Well, I'm not so glad to report that Marco Ellis was reinstated on Friday after Elon ran a poll on his porn site. There's also another guy, a 19-year-old, a name called Edward, who has gone by the username Big Balls online. As good, I guess, as good a credential as any. So we've got Big Balls and the slightly racist kid running loose as per their CEO's Elon's instructions, writing code for some of the federal government's most important systems and accessing some of the American people's most private data. While Trump can act dumb about all this, while gallivanting around, demanding various lands that aren't his. Let me tell you, this has been one hell of a start to his presidency, second term, second round, second go round. It's already feeling like 1 billion years have passed. Now, what their grand theory seems to be, what this young whippersnapper's grand theory seems to be under Elon's supervision, behind some of those blatantly illegal acts, is that they really want to let go with the whole separation of powers thing. Elon doesn't like USA aid. Elon bins USA aid. Elon doesn't like Consumer Protection Financial Bureau. Bin it. The problem with that is that the funds for that agency were allocated by Congress and voted on by Congress, the legislature, and the executive's job, the president's, is simply to execute the congressional decision. The Shiba Inu can't just bin it. Congress has to bin it. Anyway, we'll see what the Supreme Court ultimately decides about this very important issue. But spoiler alert, their decisions haven't exactly been rock solid up to this point. So, before we switch off for today, let's finish up with another incredible executive order by Lord McNuggets that authorizes aggressive economic sanctions against the International Criminal Court, the ICC, accusing the body of illegitimate and baseless actions against targeting the US and Israel. The order grants the US president broad powers to impose asset freezes and travel bans against the ICC staff and family members. This is, of course, in response to the ICC issuing arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for alleged war crimes. Now, as far as I understand it, if it sanctions against senior court figures, then the court survives. It will get existential for the court if it's institution-wide sanctions, as it would block the court accessing essential services. Let's hope that it doesn't go there. And I also want to say that his move, in the words of the Secretary General of Amnesty International, the order sends the message that Israel is above the law and the universal principles of international justice. Today's executive order is vindictive, it's aggressive, it's a brutal step that seeks to undermine and destroy what the international community has painstakingly constructed over decades, if not centuries. Global rules that are applicable to everyone and aim to deliver justice for all. And so, to finish up, let's end with this piece of news. Donald Trump reversing Biden's phase out of plastic straws across the US government, celebrating the move with a post on Truth Social, saying, "Enjoy your next drink without a straw that disgustingly dissolves in your mouth." What can I say, folks? Even a broken fascist clock is right twice a day. See you soon.